Today, our lightning talk is going to be scaling support quality with AI. Kartik is the VP of Global Support and Technical Success at Gainsight. He leads global support where he's focused on scaling operations, driving customer retention, and using AI to rethink how support teams measure quality. He has 15 years in support and success, and he's really seen it all, including way too many tickets, and brings a practical, slightly nerdy passion for using tech to make customer experiences better and teams' lives easier. So, one of the things we like to do here is welcome our speakers with happy hands or an applause in sign language. So, Kartik, welcome to the stage. Thanks for taking the time. I'm going to pass it over to you for your lightning talk.
All righty, let me share my screen real quick. All right, let's see. Here we go. Just a quick check. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, super. Thank you. Well, thank you, Paul and Alan, for having me here. Really appreciate chatting with you folks. And I think I've been on a couple of these sessions before and have enjoyed the lightning talks in the past from other speakers. And I'm hoping, you guys can walk away with something interesting from what I have here to present. My background is in, I work in the call center technology space for a long time. So I've always been close to support. And, been with Gainsight for a little over, I want to say almost 7 years. And I've been leading their support org for close to 3 years now. Yeah, today I wanted to kind of chat about what we're doing with QA in support. Without AI, there's usually sampling which is involved, and then what can we do with AI, and what we're trying to accomplish with our foray into AI for support. All right. So I think most of you who worked in support know this, that support is always judged by speed and quality, right? Those are the main two metrics that you're always looking at. Your speed is typically measured in terms of response times, resolution times, and very mathematical metrics of some sorts. Whereas for quality, that's a little more difficult or more elusive to measure, right? So most teams rely on CSAT or NPS scores coming in from customers. But then, for those metrics, response rates are typically low. If you send out any survey, typically your response rate is somewhere in the 10%. And you can't really judge your entire support center based on that kind of a response rate. So the big question is, can we really trust those metrics, right? And then, in other models, what we've seen is, QA involves sampling. So for example, in call center world, you could be a supervisor listening to a few calls for an agent to understand how they've responded to the customer's call, what actions have they taken during the call, and then make some corrections and so on and so forth. Again, same concept in support centers as well. Well, maybe you do a few tickets a month. It's better than nothing, but again, it misses big patterns that kind of, and limits your coaching impact, because you may have at random pick the worst calls, or maybe you pick the best, right? You never know. So what can AI do, right? So if you let's assume for a second you have a system like YMeadows that Alan has helped found. It's a platform that sits on top of your ticketing system, whether you have Zendesk, Salesforce, doesn't matter. But it's sitting out there, it's reading your tickets, it's trying to understand what is going on in your support world. Now, with that said, if you have a system that's already doing that, you can actually review every single ticket that's coming into your platform. It's no longer about sampling, but it's more comprehensive. It's unbiased because it's not a human being in there who is looking at, different tickets and so on. And it's a lot more scalable because now you can operate QA across your entire support center, right? That's the kind that any support leader would always want, but it's impossible to do that without automation, without AI in place, because otherwise, the system of sampling manually just doesn't scale well enough. So what does QA really mean, right? So even in the manual world, a good QA rubric typically has like three pillars: your compliance, your to the rules that you've set up, rules of engagement that you've set up for your own support center. You have the tone and structure that's being used, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email or chat message, doesn't matter. But what's the tone, the underlying tone that's being used? Is it empathetic enough? Or is it too stern, so on and so forth. And then the actual resolution, did we actually solve for the problem? That's one of the most important pieces, right? So, or did we leave the customer hanging without an actual resolution to the question that they put forth, right? These rubrics can actually be trained into an AI model to mimic and scale human QA across the board, right? That's the whole power of what you can do with AI. Now, QA is just the start, right? So with let's assume for a second you have this model, you've built it out, you have a scorecard that you put in place. You can score your tickets, you can score your agents based on how they've responded. But that's just the beginning. What you really want is coaching, because at the end of the day, I believe AI really stands for augmented intelligence, which means you're really helping a human being perform better, right? And that's really what QA is all about. At the end of the day, you're trying to coach your agents to do better than what they did in the past. Or you could be calling out what they did well as well. So if you happen to read the 1 Minute Manager book by any chance, then it'll tell you the first thing about providing feedback is, hey, always start with a positive and then sandwich the negative in between, like the two positives, right? So imagine your QA coaching kind of going in the same direction, where your AI actually identifies what the agent could have done better, but also identifies what they've done right and provides that human-like feedback, which is a lot more acceptable to a human agent. So this kind of AI, when it's providing you tickets, when it's providing you scores at a ticket level, and it's providing you feedback at at the agent level, that is what drives or helps you scale up your QA operations in your support center. So the other thing that you're doing is you're kind of unlocking some really powerful reporting, right? So obviously, like I said before, you can score agents, you can score your customers as well. So you could figure out how well have we been treating this particular customer. And that kind of feeds into your customer success scores to some extent, because it is an indicator of churn that you would also want to be thinking about. So if renewal is one of your key metrics, then how have you treated this customer from a support perspective kind of plays into that narrative as well, right? With trends, performance changes, you can also look at the impact of the coaching that is performed. So if you have used AI to coach your agents, are they doing better over a period of time? That's something that you can unlock with the reporting as well. The final piece of the puzzle is, I know, even with the chat storm that we did earlier, I saw a lot of folks were in the process of putting in some kind of agentic AI for their customers, chat bots, you name it, right? Whatever it be the case. Now, wouldn't you want your agentic AI or your chat bots to respond to your customers the same way you would want your human beings or your human agents to respond to them? So think about the next step in the evolution, right? So here's where you can use AI to QA AI agents, where you have the same rubrics that you use for humans that you now can use for AI agents as well. So that's how you could, potentially figure out where can your bot responses improve? How do you reduce friction between your AI agent and your customers? And you can tune your automation engines to do better going forward. I will conclude with that. So, one of the things I would love to hear from this crowd is, have you implemented AI or, QA for your organization? Have you used AI or are you running it manually? What's working well? What are the challenges you're facing? I'd love to jump into some of these breakouts and understand that process a little more.